All right, good evening. I'd like to call the August 20th, 2019 Board of Selectmen's meeting to order. Can we all please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So I do not have any announcements this evening. Is there anyone here for anything that is not currently on our agenda? Seeing as none, we will go right into the first item, which is the Boston Post cane presentation to Nancy L. Colonero. Based off of a memo that I have, Martha Kupka, who was the previous Boston cane holder, passed away on July 21st at the age of 103. She had received the Boston Post cane certificate in 2016, and she will be fondly remembered as an active member of the Adult Social Center. So the next recipient of the Boston Post cane will go to Nancy Colonero of Main Street. She was contacted, but I don't believe that she will be in attendance this evening. And how old is Nancy?
She is a year younger, so she's 102.
102.
I think she's on her second job tonight.
It's very possible, but we do have
Congratulations, anybody makes it.
absolutely. I'd be curious to see what the secret is to make it that far.
And if tonight doesn't work, but if she would like to come in.
Yeah.
We've tried getting in touch with her. I've sent her a letter. What I do with all the recipients is I send them a letter outlining the, I don't know if I have, yeah, the letter's in your packet, outlining the tradition of the Boston Post cane and how it came about, basically as a memento for the family to have. And we don't give the cane out anymore because over the years the cane has gotten lost, as in most communities, and even doing replica canes, they would also end up going MIA. So now we just do the certificates, so she'll receive the certificate also. From what I understand, she doesn't really get out much anymore anyways, so.
All right.
Is she related to Ricky, I guess?
Yes, Ricky's her nephew, and he tried getting in touch with her too, but wasn't able to. All right, so I will mail that to her.
I think I'll be lucky to make it to half her age.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, so the second is we have a meet and greet with Solar Wolf Energy, and I think it was your recommendation to have them come in? According to the memo, Selectman Davis suggested we invite representatives from Solar Wolf Energy.
Yeah. Makes
So,
sense.
and we have the folks from Solar Wolf, so come on up.
Good evening.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us.
You can sit.
Oh, this is, yes, that rings a bell.
Yeah, you guys are very,
I still read the paper, you added 30 or 40 jobs or something like that.
So we're growing exponentially,
Yeah.
thankfully. So, yeah.
We just wanted to congratulate, find about your business and see if there's anything we can do.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
As far as anything you guys can do for us, no. I tell you, the town has been very warm receiving us. You know, as a small town gentleman, I grew up in Millbury. I feel it's worth a lot to have a close connection, regardless the size of the company, with a nice small community. I feel like it pays dividends both ways. So we just like to give back, and anything we can do for you guys as well, please come to us and let us know, whether it be if you guys have we don't really get into too many local solar farms, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us as a consultant on a basis. We'd offer that to the town of Douglas on a free metric if you need it. Just anything of this sort, we'd be happy to help.
excellent.
Do you have quite a few Douglas people working with you, or?
We have more applying every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
We have 2 now. We have another one that's going to be a Douglas
Okay.
resident, moving here shortly, so
Okay.
we'll bring up to 3 locally.
Is most of your business residential?
The lion's share is, yes. Yep.
You have a lot of Douglas customers?
A couple.
Three or four.
We're spread, but we have a few.
So,
It must be challenging because we're mostly woods.
yeah, the trees are not our friends. With the shading. So,
And you guys have been very generous to our police and fire departments as well. So thank you very much for the
Of course.
donations to both departments. I'm sure that both the chiefs have expressed their appreciation. So same from us. We appreciate anybody that's willing to help out to any of our departments and
sure.
just be a good partner with the community.
Well, for me personally, it's I spent 10 years in the River Fire Department, so that's always stayed with me, you know. And I think after that, I was in the River Fire Department during the cold storage fire, and the amount of donations that came in for, at the time, the Iris, the heat detector sensors, they were so costly at the time, and we needed one, and it took businesses to get together to buy us one, and it never really went away. I always remember that, and I always wanted to do, if I was in a position later where I could do something like that, I wanted to do that, so that's where a lot of that stems from.
Awesome.
Great. Well, welcome. I think
Yeah.
it's great. Glad to have you.
You're up to, what, was it 40 people you have, or?
In total,
Yeah.
about 140.
140.
Wow.
Yeah. And they work all out of the Douglas office? or
No, we're
different
spread out nationally. We have
Okay.
installs as far west as Texas, and
Okay.
as far south as Florida. So we're currently opening up another office in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The end of the year, we'll have one in Maine, and then probably one in Jersey as well. So
But your main headquarters is in?
here in Douglas,
Yeah.
yes.
Excellent, good,
Yeah.
good to hear.
Yeah. Okay, we need more businesses like you.
Yeah, time to come this way.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you.
Well,
Thank you
thanks for
very
having
much.
us.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay,
Take
folks,
care.
thank you.
All right, so we have the approval of expenditure spending for the fire department solar wolf energy donation and possible votes. The fire department received a donation from Solar Wolf Energy in the amount of $3,000 on July 9th. They'd like to use these funds towards a funding match for the district's regional training facility. Recently, they signed an MOU along with 10 other departments to contribute money for maintenance, upkeep, and opportunities for live fire training by the members. So I think that's where Chief Vincent wants to use the donation money there. It sounds like a good cause to me.
Do we need a motion and a vote, or?
It would probably make sense to
Jean would
do-
like one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I move that we allow the fire department to use the donation from Solar Wolf Energy towards a funding match for the district regional training facility.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No problem. All right, so brings us to 4, road use for September 28th, the Greenway Challenge and possible votes.
This is a yearly event. There have been no issues. They do contact the police department every year and let them know what, if they need any details or anything. There've been no issues from the chief, and like I said, he does talk to them, so if they need anything, that he will let them know. And nothing from the highway department. So it just needs your vote of approval.
Prior to that, Mr. Chairman, then it looks like there's a representative from the Greenway Challenge here if there's any questions.
I'm glad you noticed.
Hello.
I think I just came for no reason. Hi, thank you for having me. I think she said it well. We've been doing this for almost 10 years, I think, in the town of Douglas. So we have, we use Wallam Lake as one of our transition sites. So they'll be coming from Uxbridge at Riverbend Farm into Wallam Lake, and from Wallam Lake to Lincoln, Rhode Island to the finish line. I know that Charlie Thompson, who is the chairman of the Greenway Challenge, has already met with Officer Kaminsky to go over the route and the police detail. There's 5 details in the town of Douglas for this race. So any of the concerns that the police have, we address it with the details, the police details.
You gonna participate, Tim?
I could not find teammates to do that,
No.
so that's a goal of mine, but not this year. I'll
Not
be
this
up in Hampton Beach in a couple
Board
weeks
of
later.
Selectmen team next year.
Charlie,
There we go. I want to see
Charlie
it.
didn't give me your name. Can I-
Heather Elster, ELSTER. I'm the executive director of the Whiten Community Center. You're
And,
welcome.
I'm sorry, Helen?
Heather.
Heather, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well,
Well, I think you need to like do something with the town departments or something. Get a group together, compete against each other, something.
But it's hard to compete with Bonin. He's lightning fast with everything, so.
Yeah.
There you go.
Witty, too.
Don't forget, good looking.
That's for others to...
Goes without saying.
Is anybody a little flirty over there?
And quite the regional planner.
I was just going to say, perhaps Tim could spearhead like a regional planning thing
need
to put
any help
together a
planning.
regional
I would
team.
think some of his fellow members on the regional planning committee might
Might want to join in,
People
right?
brutal.
He's very passionate about it.
each other well.
Right. And plan. They can plan. They can plan.
Wow, you get abused.
Believe me.
It's all part of his plan.
One, it's out of love, and two, they'll get it. No, I think it's wonderful, and it's just out of curiosity.
Yes.
An individual that finishes middle of the pack, how long does this take?
By themselves. I think that most of the racers, we have people that are up in the top that even as individuals, I think are in the 3-hour range.
Okay.
So somewhere maybe around the 4-hour range would be the
Nice.
individuals.
Yeah.
I was going to tell you could do it all by yourself. It
Yeah, it's
doesn't
pretty
require
fun.
teammates, but
I'd
yeah.
be glad to spectate if you did that. I'd be on the side of the road.
We can do
watching.
color commentary, too.
Exactly, yeah.
I honestly don't know how those people do that. I mean, it's 8 segments, almost 60 miles, different disciplines. There's biking, there's mountain biking, there's running, there's trail running, there's paddling. It's crazy, yeah.
Maybe next year.
I'm going to come back next year and
All
take
right.
you to it.
Well,
Do you
shoot.
have any
Mr.
other
Cortez
questions?
and I will still do color commentary.
All right, on it, all right.
We're good at that.
Did you have any other questions for me?
I don't have any.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Well, I'd make a motion that we approve the road use as outlined in our packet for the Greenway Challenge that will take place on the 28th of September.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you for your support of the race. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you
luck.
for what you're doing.
I'll send you guys a letter.
All right. I see. Come on up.
Last but not least.
Last but not least, well, you're not last. So we have to approve the Whitinsville Fishing Game Field Day Special License and possible votes. And I am a member of Whitinsville Fishing Game, so I will abstain from the vote.
Okay.
Hi.
How we doing?
We're doing good.
All right, so in your packet is an application for a one-day license for an outside area of the club. They're planning a field day event Sunday to September 22nd from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. The licensed area will be under a 50 by 30-foot roofed pavilion. You still have no plans to rope it off?
If it's required, you mean as far as the area itself?
Right.
I don't know if you want me to, we'll
It's
rope
up to
off
the
an
board.
area or
It's
something
up to
like
the
that.
board.
It's just outside of the pavilion, we always have like kids' games and stuff like that, and we have the soda and all that, so that'd be the only difficult part is getting around a roped off area or something.
Again, it's up to the board whether they want to set that as a condition or not. So he knows that they can't, people from outside cannot bring alcohol inside, and people from inside cannot bring alcohol outside. He understands that the alcohol has to be purchased by a certified vendor from ABCC for this event, then it has to be thrown away after the event's over. He understands all that. And let's see, Chief Vincent is on the board also, so he defers any comments to Chief Miglianico, and Chief Miglianico has no concerns.
There's a lot of deferral going on here.
Yes.
Hey, one question, again, you gave me that list of certified vendors, which didn't make, I know it's from the ABCC, but it made no sense at all because we buy from distributors. So the intention was to buy from, you know.
You would have to call ABCC and ask them.
Okay, because
Yeah.
you know, these are like individuals, I guess. or-
You're allowed to call ABCC also.
Okay.
I always tell you guys that. You can call ABCC whenever you have any questions.
Okay.
But I would call them and find out from them.
Okay.
Should we be around when they're just throwing away any alcohol?
Absolutely. I have concerns about discarded alcohol.
That's alcohol
It
abuse.
hurts my soul, yes.
Me too.
Anybody have any questions, or
I do not.
anybody care to make a motion on it?
I'll make a motion to approve the special license as presented.
I'll second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Can I just confirm, was it Dave or Hal that made the second?
I second.
Okay,
And I don't think there's any reason to rope off the area.
okay.
You're all set.
I do
Thank
not
you very
have
much.
that on the license, so I don't
I
have
guess
to
we
add
sound
it.
like it.
Steve, I'll be sending you, you want to come in and get it, or? Okay,
Most of the clubs are done. Yeah.
Even though the name.
it'll be ready tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, see you
Yeah,
then.
nice range.
If you guys could
Really
sign
nice.
both,
Yeah, I
Oh,
got
really?
passed my gun
Still all
license
right.
there.
this
Huh?
MS.
Pistol rifle. Both.
And they got a nice clay pitching range too. Okay. So that's done. So now we're on to taking abatement request for 43 Gilboa Street and possible votes.
Mr. Chairman, the treasurer requested this through the Selectmen's office. So you must approve it. The town took this property and tax taking, but because of the dates of all the paperwork, it was still a small remainder bill of $37.63 assigned to the prior owner. Just like to abate that so that we can clear up the record and be done with it. It is now a town property.
Seems pretty straightforward. Anybody want to make a motion on this?
Be done with.
So moved.
Is that the term?
Undertaking.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we're on to approve minutes and possible votes. And these would be for the July 16th regular and executive session.
I'll make a motion that we approve the July 16 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
And I'll make the motion to approve the executive session minutes of July 16th, and I believe we will retain those minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, motion again's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Brings us to your report, Mr. Administrator.
Mr. Chairman, in order to tie up some loose ends, we finally heard back from the Office of the Attorney General with respect to the open meeting law complaint that I filed against the BBRS, the Building Code Licensing Board, for the way they treated the town of Douglas back in the wintertime. And the operative sentence is this first sentence of the second paragraph of this lengthy decision by the Attorney General's office. Following our review, we find that the board, that would be BBRS, violated the open meeting law by failing to properly post notice for its December 11th meeting. Secondly, by failing to notify our office of a change in its official notice posting location. And third, by posting an inadequately detailed notice for the December 11th meeting. So we're somewhat vindicated here. We were railroaded by this board and they were called to task for it. They were not found to be intentional in their violations. Their attempt to cure was also found to be a violation. So they just couldn't, they're dancing with two left feet here. That was kind of my point. I thought the attorney was quite frankly wrong. And one way to document that is to prove that they don't know the Open Meetings Act either. So we've put a marker in the sand that in our interaction with this bureaucrat attorney, he was wrong on just about everything. So, but that's the end of that. As you know, we hired a building commissioner that is certified by BBRS. He has 18 months to complete a set of tests that he has to complete, and he's made excellent progress towards being ahead of schedule and completing that. So we'll probably do the paperwork to officially appoint him once he's past that probation period with BBRS. But it was much ado about nothing, and they shouldn't have treated us that way. Second on my list is grants. And to keep the board aware, we are in the 5th year of Community Compact funding for grants. And the town is eligible, because we did not receive a grant last fiscal year, we are eligible for both categories, both a best practices grant and an information technology grant. We will apply for both. I've gone over a list with Mr. Cundiff of those projects that are eligible under the requirements of the grant program. We'd like to use the best practices application to seek state funding for our pavement condition study. So, as you may be aware, we are out to bid right now for that study because we had identified Chapter 90 funds that John still has as the funding source. If we can hold on to those Chapter 90 funds and use them for road projects, we would prefer to do that. The pavement condition study is a best practice that is specifically identified by the Community Compact Cabinet as an activity they want to support. So I actually think we may be able to do more if we use grant funds and if we use our limited Chapter 90 remainder. So on the IT front, we've got several possibilities. The one that I find most compelling, and we're going to go back and forth, I think, with the chiefs a couple times to make sure we're on the right track, but we have used for years in our police cruisers a technology or a device called a Tough Book, which is basically a laptop that's heavily reinforced, and it's supposed to be durable, and you can get it wet, you can bang around, it can fly around the cabin of the cruiser, and it's still going to function. The problem with that is there are two problems. The durability takes away from the actual capability of the machine, because so much space is used to protect it from damage. You're not utilizing that space for additional memory chips, drivers, and other things that you need. And secondly, they're expensive. They're $5,000 each. So at town meeting approved $30,000 for police Tough Books, for tablets for their cruisers, assuming 6 cruisers at $5,000 each. Our IT group that we have here now doing all of our IT for us and has done such a wonderful job has a better plan, which is to buy Surf Pros or a similar product that is reinforced with, you know, the classic OtterBox or other, and they're about $800 each. And what might be eligible for the grant is to virtualize all of their data. So they're never going to lose data, so it's always going to go up to the cloud, be backed up to the cloud, and then be able to talk to each other. And if one is damaged, we can easily replace it. We can also get a couple of extra units so that our rescue and fire trucks can also communicate to IMC, which is a police function. So that the 911 position is supported by IMC, which is a software package. There is a fire piece to that, but access to that system requires control by the police. So this will still be a police project. They will be using their Surf Pros to grant access to our firefighter staff to be able to get run times and call times and all the other data that they need to get out of the dispatch system. And will still come in considerably below what town meeting approved for the project. But the grant would be, of course, to get the technology to reside here in the server room.
They wouldn't need to attach different mounts or anything in the cruisers, I don't think.
I don't think so. And even then,
With the cloud and backing up, I mean, its durability wouldn't seem to be such an important issue
it's
anymore,
not.
right?
It won't be,
Yeah.
yeah. And they'll be, the estimate is they could be as much as 3 times faster,
Yeah.
so.
Surface will be at least that, if they ended up with a Surface Pro. So in the software that we're gonna be backing up to, I'm assuming that that's already been looked at for NG 911 that's coming?
So we'll check all those things, but I would rather grant fund that than go to town meeting for it.
Yeah.
That piece of it, because I think the town meeting funding would be sufficient for the tablets themselves and all the hardening, but that extra work that we would need to do to give them that extra functionality
Well,
is.
that's gonna free up
It's not a
cruiser
big
space,
grant.
too.
Right. It's not a very big grant. We'd only be looking at $10,000, so it makes us probably more competitive to get it. In the same vein, bids, we went out to bid for our small tanks. So anything where, so right now, the town of Douglas participates with the FREC, the French River Educational Collaborative, for purchase of heating fuel for the winter at large bulk prices, because most of our tanks are 10,000 gallons. So that price is locked in at $2.06 delivered. We can't get that same pricing. And if we try to play the market and we wait till the height of the heating season, because they're only 275 gallon tanks, you're gonna pay whatever the market demands at that moment. So if it's a really long hold snap, you may find yourself paying premium. So we went out to the market and locked in a vendor with a fixed price contract at $2.24 delivered. So I think we're covered for the winter at, frankly, a very competitive price.
What did we pay last winter?
So last year, the bulk rate was closer to $2.14, and then when you added the delivery charge for the smaller tanks, it was $2.38 or so.
So we're
So we're actually
a little bit ahead.
going to be a little bit ahead of last year. And the other bid that's out, as I just mentioned, is the pavement study, which we're anticipating coming back soon. Employee appointments, we've had 2. Corey, our health agent, resigned the position. He's stayed on the board, but he's resigned the position. It's a very demanding thing, and he's active in his personal and professional life, and it was creating conflicts. So you'll remember Emily LaFlamme, who came here to be on the Board of Health, a young person with degrees in the field. She has stepped up and asked for the appointment, and it was posted and properly posted internally first for any candidate that had necessary qualifications, which she does. So the board recommended her appointment, and I was happy to sign it, and we met this morning to review the cases that are pending and the town's personnel policies, as we are required to do. The other appointment made is there is a transition plan and short-term plan in place at the senior center. We have a grant-funded position that's a couple of hours a week. And the hope is to use that position to train the eventual replacement for an employee who's going to retire in a year and a half, just about a year and a half time frame. To try to transition that person and get familiar with the center, get familiar with the clients. And after advertisement, Patrice ended up with 2 excellent finalists for candidates. And after several interviews with different people, the consensus was that Jennifer Stinchfield, who is a resident of the town and has been, involved in a lot of activities here, most notably she attended bar and was, I believe, a board member at the Blackstone Valley Beagle Club. She has a lot of training in CPR and home health care, and has made working with Elder's a major part of her personal career, so she was the appointee to that position.
Excellent.
Like I say, right now, it's between 5 and 10 hours a week, but it'll go to that second position, that second in command over there, that Patrice really relies upon that person to cover for vacations and all the rest of it. So other than that, one last thing, there's been discussion at the school committee of a school safety plan and emergency planning surrounding that activity. I just want everyone to be aware that on the town side, we're going through a great deal of analysis of that proposed plan and how we're going to match our emergency response plan to their protocols. And there's probably going to be some give and take back and forth, but the product will improve as we go forward. Right now, at least, we have a placeholder that meets the bare threshold necessity requirements of the discussion, but we've been meeting the superintendent, the public safety chiefs, and the deputy chief and I to discuss more detailed issues that arise from the plan. So there'll be a lot of work associated with that. And we know that this is probably the best way to gain entry into the longer-term emergency management planning effort that the town is now overdue to accomplish. I think the last one was in the early 2000s, so it's over 15 years old. It needs to be rewritten and updated. And that is important to do because it's actually an obstacle in the way of the accreditation of the police department. That we have to have that plan to support their activities as much as the rest of the town. So, Mr. Chairman, that's my update.
Seems like the school's biggest hurdle is access for emergency management.
Without speaking out of school, because I don't think I'm saying anything that isn't or shouldn't be obvious to someone who thinks about these issues. Access to one of the school campuses is more restricted than other.
Bless you.
There isn't any way to get from one campus to the other in a vehicle. I suppose if you're really determined, you could, but
Yeah.
you know, there's no easy way. And those connections from both campuses are primarily into a main street that carries a tremendous amount of traffic, and we all know what morning traffic looks like when the school buses are running and kids are being brought into school by parents. So the planning effort needs to accomplish a fairly sophisticated set of tasks. You know, the response really will differ whether or not this is school drop-off or pickup time versus during the day at school, you know, versus some other gathering that occurs at the school later after hours. And so we're identifying all of those factors that go to one key metric, and the key metric is once you tap the stopwatch and the clock is running, how much can you accomplish and how much time do you have?
Right.
And it's a very sobering conversation to have with people because you have some clear milestones. I won't go into all of them, but the one that is published and is known is that from the time of a really grave injury to a circulatory, you know, one of your limbs, one of your major arteries in your limbs, to bleed out and passing away is about 3 minutes. So it's something to bear in mind. That clock is always ticking, and so you're going to manage that 3 minutes, and you have to manage the rest of the time that it takes to gather your resources for response. We always think of school shooter, but we should think of lots of other things because they're a little bit less unusual. The release of a noxious gas, for instance, from a chemistry lab, or you could have many people exposed and needing medical attention. They maybe not be in jeopardy of their life, but they still could be in jeopardy of severe injury. So what do we do for a mass casualty event? How are we going to get 12, 13, 14 people out of a classroom and to where they can get help? And so it's more than a little bit of a practical issue, given our staffing levels and the access issues. So there's a lot to talk about, but I'm very happy that the superintendent and his team have started this process of having an intelligent conversation about it.
It's the first 90 seconds.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Mr. Administrator. Any old business? I do have one piece of new business, is that Boy Scout Troop 134 will be doing their annual soapbox derby on Churchill Road, which they've done for the past several years. But considering it's only Churchill Road residents that go down there, I don't really think we need to close the road off for the 5 residents, myself being one of them, in order for them to participate. But if anybody wants to go check it out, it's usually a lot of fun to watch them. But that's all I have. I think I would be looking for the infamous...
Make them out of soapboxes anymore? You buy
By a little kid.
So they actually built them. They bought plans. They didn't actually buy the kit. They just bought the plans from the Boy Scouts. And the troop master's actually, he does woodworking and finished carpentry and all that stuff. So he actually built, I think, 6 of them. So, and they go pretty well.
Can you put graphite in the wheels and do anything you want?
Yeah, we used to do
I don't think you're supposed to, but I suppose that you can.
Yeah.
Looking for the angle on that.
Well, the small ones, they used to do that, you know, the
Yeah, but on the Pinewood Derby,
the pine wood. They do it,
yeah, you're not allowed to put graphite in.
You are?
No, not.
Oh.
I looked into it
I think-
a few years ago.
I think 25, 30 years ago, I might have violated that.
It probably wasn't a rule then.
Right, yeah.
Does this mean I have to give the ribbon back?
Yeah. So I don't think they're really doing a lot for competition. I think it's just a matter of it's a fun day for the kids, and
Yeah.
they have a good time. And usually I end up having to fire up the 4-wheeler to drag the cars back up to the top
Back
of the
up the
hill
hill.
so they can go again, because the kids get tired of pushing. But
That's great.
that is all that I have. So do you have one of your famous motions for executive session, Mr.
Sure.
Bowman?
I'd like to make a motion that we move into executive session for the purposes of talking about possible litigation, and then we'll leave executive session for the purpose of adjournment.
I would second that well-spoken motion.
Motion was made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Mike Hughes, aye.
Bone and I.
Kevin Morris, aye.
Al Davis, aye.
Dave Cortez, aye.